So my question is that you said we have to find a third ground, commonality between madrasa and the academy.
So I don't know how possible that is, but it is possible in those lands to create such third spaces and to allow graduates of those madrasas opportunities to explore alternative paradigms and broaden their horizons. Not everybody is going to do that, but that is very possible. You might not change the entire system, but the goal is that enough people will go through an alternative to eventually be reabsorbed into the system and begin to make changes. Public, and to be very frank about certain pros and cons. You get a lot of pushback and a lot of anger and hatred, but you also get a lot of good. So I think if we were to just begin this, and hopefully one day third spaces can be created in Pakistan. And I believe that has already begun, inshallah. I know it's begun in England. There's the Cambridge College has happened, where madrasa graduates are meant to go study for a year. In America, we're trying to do something similar. It is possible, and inshallah in this generation, because we are seeing the realities of the world, in this generation I'm positive change can happen, and all of us can be a part of that change, inshallah. I think we can actually quite clearly delineate strengths of the madrasa and weaknesses of the madrasa. And we can delineate strengths of the academy and weaknesses of the academy. And the goal, my goal in particular, is to merge between these two. The goal is to produce a new version, a synthesis that takes the best of both of these worlds and produces minds, produces thinkers, mufakkirin and ulema that can traverse both worlds with confidence. And that's something that, inshallah, we're seeing happening in front of our very eyes. And I hope, inshallah, CIS, I hope, inshallah, as well, is, with the same vision and mind.
Thank you very much. My name is Muwaffaq. I'm a professor in the College of Science and Engineering. I just have a question, Doctor. As an academic, it's very easy for me to think intellectually out of the box in my own field in College of Science and Engineering. But when it comes to Islam, I'm a very binary thinker. Halal, haram, and I'm actually scared to think critically. What do we do? How can we move into that space or think more critically without going against the tradition, like you mentioned earlier? Thank you.
Your question has no 5-minute response. Again, we're a Muslim audience here, so I'm assuming majority are Muslim, so let me just be frank here. There's two things that help. Istishara and istikhara. Two things help. Firstly, bounce your ideas off of peers and other like-minded individuals. Don't be completely breaking away. Find at least other groups of people and bounce your ideas. Maybe you have gone too far, right? So when you bounce your ideas off of other forward-thinking Muslims, but they're believers and whatnot, right? And next thing is your own internal spirituality. There's got to be, a damir, a conscience. There's got to be a, khawf min Allah azza wa jalla. At the end of the day, you're going to be accountable for what you say. And when you have large groups of people following you, well, then you better be even more careful. And when you're preaching and teaching in the name of the religion, you have to be extremely careful, right, in this regard. Me personally, these two things are my things that I do. Groupthink amongst like-minded people, and then also find people, and inshallah you yourself as well, you have to do this. Now, if you're not a specialist, by the way, then you're going to have to find the group of specialists that your mind aligns with, right? يعني فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. Every person has to make one level of ijtihad, and that is whose ijtihad are they going to follow, right? I can't make that ijtihad for you. Every Muslim at some point in life has to decide who's my shaykh. I'm sorry to be like this. Like, who's the person I'm going to look at, or who's my group of shuyukh? I can't answer that question for you. And I say there's a spectrum. Choose your group and respect the other parts of the spectrum, right? Choose your shaykh or maslak or madhab, and then be quiet about other people, because you have better things to do than refute and cause division. This is my answer to the Muslim that comes and asks me, inshallah.
So why is the madrasa not, living up to providing this intuitive knowledge and the knowledge of the heart? Thank you.
I don't know if that answer your question or not, but point number one, overall the madrasa does produce more religiosity. And point number two, who gets to define the type of religiosity is also a product of where you go. I hope that answers a little bit of your question. You need third spaces. where it is very clear that we are faith-based academics. And this, inshallah, is the potential for a revival of so many of the projects we're talking about. You know, so much can spark across the globe. It needs to happen at a very public level. It needs to combine the intelligentsia of the world. It needs to be a project that people buy into. And if this is done, I'm confident that wherever this is, or multiple places, it will help spark conversations around the globe, inshaAllah ta'ala.